I think. Well, hey everyone, I'm Liz. I have some announcements to make. First of all, Anna and Kelly are both having serious technical problems. So you just have me today and it will be wonderful. We're all lovely. And this is why we have a team of 3, because if some drop, like next weekend, I might be gone visiting children. So you have me today and it's wonderful. So here's how the call we'd like the call to go. Our intention here is we have 2 people, Tandy Michelle and Ricky Van Leeuwen. We're going to interview them. I will be interviewing you and featuring you. And I'm going to ask them basically 3 essential questions. And we're going to get to know them and their projects and their hopes and dreams and the kind of help and support they could use, of course, besides money. Money is important. And then I'm going to open up the floor to questions. I'm going to mute everyone for now. And then the questions asked, I'm going to ask that you keep them directed to the guests. This is not the space necessarily to talk about your own projects per se, or to tell your own stories. Stories are hugely important, but today it's specifically asked to our guests and their projects. All right, capiche everyone? All right, so I'm going to start with you, Tandy, if you don't mind. I didn't warn anybody, but you're up first, if you don't mind, dear. So I'm going to invite you to unmute, and I'm going to begin interviewing you. How you doing today, dear?
I'm well, thank you very much, Liz. Happy to be here.
Oh, it's such a delight to have you. So nice to see you here. So we've enjoyed your content and your support of the chat. So you were one of the leaders that rose up first. So my first question for you is tell us a little bit about yourself and what your current projects are that you're dreaming about for CHWE, for CARE, for UNN, etc.
Well, right. So I would really like to see some education when it comes to food we eat, because most people still eat their colorants, their preservatives, their additives. They don't read the labels. They've got no idea what's in the food. As long as it's, for instance, can last another week, or the date might seem good, they'll eat it. Or if it says it's plant-based, doesn't matter what's in it, they'll eat it. But there might be some harmful colorants and preservatives in there. So that to me is important education going forward, so people understand and they can create that relationship with their food. And then, of course, real fresh food. I'd love to see more food banks around the world. I'd love to see CHWE food storage areas for emergencies, where we've got all kinds of dried food, bottled food, using only the best storage methods, like glass, maybe modern hemp plastic that's busy making its way forward, and that kind of thing. So people also get to understand that there are alternatives, and why the forever chemicals in the plastic and metal tinned food actually affects our health as well. And with that, other opportunities will open up. That's why I started the hemp group as well with the food security group now, and transferred the info from the hemp group, is because hemp is imperative, one of the imperative things going forward with better packaging. And I'd love to see people be educated on not eating with aluminium cooking pots, that kind of thing. There's amazing pottery out there and other alternatives. We still have to cook. It's lovely cooking from scratch. It can be simple. We can also go and pick up a meal, but there's alternatives and there's education to be done with that. I'd love to be able to work more with, help people put concepts together in communities. If they don't have a full picture, I'm happy to help them search for solutions going forward. And I want to open up work groups. My group has got just over 50 tabs in it. It sounds overwhelming, but people are finding places to go and put information and look for information, which is great. And we do need that information all gathered in one space, so that we've got a resource. I don't know how that will translate in the future, maybe into a website. That would be lovely. Maybe an app. that is wonderful. Maybe we'll bring out a whole deck of cards that explain each fruit or vegetable, its growing methods. Maybe books like the old Reader's Digest books that you used to learn to work on a car engine. You know, maybe you can learn how to do gardening with decent books again. Maybe with cards so kids can learn about, and adults can learn. Maybe there's lots of possibilities. And mainly is connecting with people. I'd love to have those work groups and people attending work groups so that they can work together and get on with it and not wait for somebody else to do it for them. More or less, and more.
Thank you so much for that. That is wonderful. And I know that you have, I think many folks, like leaders such as yourselves, have many, as you mentioned, many different groups and things going on. We also know Kim loves data. So at some point, I know we at CHWE, we're trying, mods here trying, but to get everything in an Excel spreadsheet so everyone can reach out to everyone, you know, all the trees and all the threads of all the things going on, all the projects. So that is happening, but also you leaders and everyone listening on the call or listening later, if you have groups, if you can begin to maybe create those trees for us, because Kim did envision perhaps thousands of trees coming off of each of these groups. And there's a couple breakaway groups as well. We love them too. And so I think that's super important. And so my question for you, can you go into a little more detail on some of your current projects that you're doing under CHWE? Like you did mention them, but perhaps the hemp project a little bit more. By the way, I didn't do intros for everybody because I didn't have time since I realized I was the only one, but Tandi is a wonderful lady from South Africa and she's working in those communities there. So Tandi, would you share, maybe go in a little more depth of some of your projects, one or two of them?
I personally do not have a personal project ready. There's always something that's happening. And so hemp is one of my projects I would personally love to do. And the other one is a farm stall, almost like a country store, something a bit more old-fashioned, where you get honest food picked up. So the hemp was actually something that really drew my attention because of its many, many facets across just everywhere. I mean, even the strawberry farmers don't even have to use plastic sheeting anymore. They can use the hemp ground cover, which would be a fantastic alternative because it can be left there and it can actually biodegrade over time into the soil and feed the soil. Animal products, human products, seed, oil, you name it. I've even looked at argan oil and the possibility of working with argan oil. And it can actually grow in quite a few regions in the world that is similar climate to Morocco. So we've got serious options. And Kim was talking about silicone the other day, and that's what made me thought about argan oil. Because it's got the same, like, you know, that smoothness like silicone. And yeah, it's also edible completely, and it's even got a nut. So yes, so I do feel that we need the storage areas for food, for emergencies, because there's a lot of them still happening and they're not going to stop just overnight. And our people are important and they will create tremendous employment. I'd love to see some good seed multiplied and grown by various communities that can be distributed to other communities. Only the best. We all kind of have our favorite seed, but just pure organic heirloom original seed. And I know Kim mentioned something about seed, that there is, she's got a seed bank. Maybe that will come into play. We don't know. Maybe only later when those seeds are available. It doesn't matter. But we need good seed for people and make it so available that people going to an area would rather go and pick up the good seed because they saw somebody else's tomatoes, and those tomatoes were just beyond delicious and they felt good afterwards. So I think our seed banks and seed farms are important going forward. Yeah, no, I can actually see like a label, something like CHWE or care on them. I love that. And yeah, I think just getting the hemp farmers going, getting the food communities going with alternatives, and the education on the forever chemicals known as PFAS.
Mm-hmm.
And there's quite a few of them, and it's a little bit more complicated, but I had a great speaker on last year with the food security group from Michigan who did a research paper on it. And when you grow hemp on a contaminated piece of soil, and they did it on an old army base, and it actually removes the forever chemicals out of the soil. They don't know how many years they need to do it or how many times they need to grow it, but apparently it grows, it all stays in the roots, and then the top maybe a foot, half a foot, that's where the forever chemicals stay in. So that needs to be snipped off, taken out, and incinerated and disposed of carefully. So there's ways that we can restore our soil. And there's a lot of soil. I just found a map yesterday or the day before of Europe and all the forever chemicals throughout Europe. And it's literally like almost everywhere. It's scary. They've got a serious problem there. And I know Ricky always speaks about Indiana and that whole Midwest area and the absolute terrible soil they've got there because of the contamination and the water. So it can be cleaned up. I'm seeing serious solutions going forward, and I know many will come forward. And we're hopeful.
Thank you, Tandy. That is lovely. I hope that I encourage you to write down your plans, come up with a business, make sure you're keeping your business model. So if funding comes that you're ready to go. I love it. Taking one or two big projects. And if you were to run a farm shop store, how would you do it? Right? Brick and mortar, online. I would just continue to research that, and you probably already are, I'm sure. And also what we're going to recommend before I move over to Ricky, I want to recommend that if people want to put, again, their contact information and support, especially you, Tandy and Ricky, so people can contact you. Many people already can, but make sure, we have people's data. Like I see Jay Say here, he's going to come on, I know, and ask some questions, but put, on that one, when this is posted, feel free to post underneath it in the chats. Make sense? People want to put their data. Thank you, Tandy, so much. So people get your questions ready. That's wonderful. Thank you. Ricky, would you like to come on and chat with us a bit? I know you're bated breath with Midwest and water.
Sure. Hi. Thank you, Liz.
Hello.
Thank you, Sandy Michelle.
So Ricky, again, you both wrote me lovely bios. I couldn't handle everything today, so I didn't get your bios condensed. But if we know you're from Indiana, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then your current projects?
Sure. Yeah, I'm from Indiana, born here. Um, my parents were divorced when I was young, so I lived a lot of different places, mostly with my great grandmother and grandmother. My grandmother was a missionary nurse on Indian reservations, so spent some time out in South Dakota around her in nursing, and uh, I just love when I started getting older, getting into athletics and fitness and training and getting on teams, cross-country teams and other teams, just enjoyed the atmosphere and have always studied health and wellness, worked in bodybuilding gyms and trained with athletes. So I love that atmosphere and just the general vibe that comes with it. But yeah, got into my professional life, and I started into pipe fitting with the union, specialized in fire protection, special hazards. So I know all about the PFASs that are released during fires and all the other chemicals released during the fires. And we've had a few up here at the BP Whiting refinery. I think you saw on the news a few fires up here already. And so, yeah, and when Sandy Michelle talks about the problems that we're having in the Midwest with manufactured gas plants and vinyl chloride releases from events like the Ohio Palestine train wreck, all that vinyl chloride got picked up and brought into Indiana, and they're trying to eliminate it. But folks in that area are complaining about getting sick now, things like that. So we have a huge job cut out here in Indiana. And I feel like my pipe trade experience is my interest in health and fitness, along with just seeing and being awake to what's going on, responding to exactly what's happening and trying to clean this mess up, help clean the mess up, and help communicate to people that there are some dangers around them with their water in particular, and that there are some solutions also that they can implement right away. And so as far as what I do now, yeah, the groups that I've been involved with, I was asked to facilitate the CARE Drinking Water Working Group meeting every week. And I've been doing that for a little bit more than a year and a half. And then during this last transition, we were able to rescue a lot of information, videos, and we were in the middle of working on some relief programs in Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, especially, having great meetings because there were active storms happening. And we just kind of switched out of the project mode, the care mode, and went into relief mode. And we were able to make a lot of progress, and mostly in communications, learning how to use this equipment, and using the drinking water, sanitation, and disinfection as the subject. And we've been able to put together some incident reports, get some projects, the foundations for them started. And I'd like to be able to share screen here in a
yes.
little bit.
Yeah, I'll work that while you're talking.
And yeah, I'll show you a little bit about what we've been doing. It's very exciting. I'm excited to be here in this capacity, just facilitating the meetings and the Telegram thread that I'm going to show here in a minute. The main catalyst that really got me headed in this direction was, of course, I was a follower of former President Trump. I liked the things that he said and talked about and started to do, but started to find out that as I got into those programs that were being offered to help folks, that's one of the things I've done in the past is consumer restoration, counseling with folks. And the programs were just the same. They just put people in a box and excluded folks. And I thought, well, this isn't, you know, they were talking to Sarah Jacera at the time, we're thinking that our funds were going to be in our accounts, just kind of like what we're talking about now, except that we don't have the outline that we've been given by Kim and Global Repository, which is awesome. So as I started to see holes in that, I also started to see breaches with masks coming in, boxes of shipments of masks coming in from CCP China, not just regular China. I actually opened a box and the tag said CCP China. And I'm an ex-military police officer from the early 80s, trained to recognize when you see something CCP, it's something that you just don't brush to the side. I felt like it was a breach of security, and my training just kind of led me to look for a way to communicate to folks in my area that there's some trouble, that there could be a breach, chemical, biological type of a breach. And I think we're aware of that. But there's no one to talk to. We saw folks on the internet trying to expose the fact that, hey, we're being poisoned, we're under attack, what was being said, and those people either got banned from their social media or got disappeared in some cases. So when I ran into what was going on with Life Force and Kim, CARE, and what we have now with the United Network news and CHWE, the Center for Health and Wellness of Earth. This is the only outlet I can find to communicate to folks, and I believe it's my responsibility as a military police officer to communicate that there is a breach, biological and chemical breach, and to provide solutions, help provide communications for those solutions also. And so I'm so glad to be here because that's what we're doing in our group, is providing solutions to what's been happening over the last few years around us.
Thank you, Ricky. What kind of support, we have a few minutes left. What kind of support could you use from others at this time?
Well, joining in to these threads, I'll go ahead and share the screen. If we could,
I made you host, you can do it.
awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. This is the desktop version of Telegram. And, you know, there's a lot of discussion of Telegram right now. It is a very good filing tool for us to communicate, file information, and continue working together across continents in real time, just like we're doing now. But we're on a Zoom call, got a Telegram page set up, and we can communicate and get work done. We call ourselves a working group. And this is our group. It's the, get this thing out of here, sorry. So Drinking Water Restoration Working Group. And you can see it is a group with topics. And these topics are basically our files, the areas that we've been working on. We've had more than a year and a half, really. And we've been able to start filing solutions to our needs in these different topics. So I'll just go through this here real quick. The Drinking Water Restoration Working Group has a number of different topics. We've been working on Rwanda. We've been working on Uganda and Burundi. And so when we go into, it keeps getting in my way, sorry about that. To the Rwanda files, you can see that we have the files that we've been working on stashed here in the Rwandan water files. We have incident reports. Francis from Rwanda has developed this one-stop facilitation center, and this is ready to go. This is a plan that uses the relief as a foundation to get started on fixing the boreholes in Africa with local contractors. And you'll see in these different documents budgets and estimates and things like that. So what we're doing is using this Drinking Water Restoration Group basically as our filing system. You can see we have, Sandy Michelle was talking about our communities and the farm. So we have some community supported agriculture apps set up in here. So when the time does come, we can list our products on these local apps for the community supported agriculture. But with water and drinking water, we want to, and we found that the best way to source or to find good drinking water is just to source it locally. If we can source it locally, filter it, store it, structure it, disinfect and sanitize it if we have to, and we should, then we can distribute it locally, just as we would off the other items off of our farm. So structured drinking water can go out with the eggs and the dairy daily from these farms. It can be ordered off of these community supported apps. And so this is just one outlet that we have, a tab that we have, topic in our water restoration group that is very valuable. But once we start to know about it, and folks start to know about it and build on it, then this is going to grow. And so I guess if there's anything that folks can do in the future, we'll just clue into the Drinking Water Restoration Working Group meetings. Feel free to come and visit here. Check out the general tab, which will have everything that we posted here. And then it might be filed under communications area, like the Dominican Republic. Maria has, they're very active down there. with cleaning things up in the water. And they have given presentations. They have a presentation coming up here. We encourage folks to speak their language. We have the ability to translate these very easily. And so, yeah, this is where we're at. We have this group. We want people to participate and start filing. And if you need something for your area, you're in an area with bad water and you're looking for something. There's drinking water filters here. There's ideas in Rwanda and Burundi. Robert and Francis, they've been working on their own water filters, man-made water filters. We learned how to make biochar out of bamboo in our meetings, and they've taken it upon themselves to start making homemade filters with bamboo, biochar, sand, gravel, and those videos, those diagrams and plans will be posted here for other people to follow. So, yeah, that's kind of
amazing, Ricky. It's so thorough. Thank you. This is incredible, the work you guys have been doing behind the scenes, but not behind the scenes for you folks. Would you be willing to put the an invite link to the general chat where people can find you? I know you've probably done it under food, water, air, and ag, but we can post it once this video is posted, so people, because it is hard to find things in Telegram. I like to joke it's not organized well for organizations, but once you're in the threads and know where you're going, it's super helpful. Thank you, Ricky. This is wonderful.
It is.
What-
And I just wanted to bring up what Sandy
Yes.
Michelle was talking about.
Mhm.
She has done the same thing with the food security collaborative and brought these topics over here and started to populate them with the work that they've done with the food security over the last few years.
Oh,
And so
Tandy, you didn't share that, you rascal. All the stuff you've already done.
yeah, so this is you know, the hundreds, the thousands of of lines that come out, the limbs that come out of.
That's lovely, lovely, both of you. Thank you so much. What I'd like to do is open it up for questions and let people come off if you want to raise your hand. And again, direct your questions in a concise manner, please, so we have most possible. A minute or less to your question, and to our guests, please, and their projects. Do you have raised hands? I see Francis. I don't see a hand raised, but would our Rwandans or anybody like to ask a question? All right, we have Masha. You want to come on? If I hope I pronounce your name right. And then we have Jay next. You want to come off mute?
Right, thank you. My question is mainly to Ricky. If I won't be able to contribute anything in the group, but I would love to learn, is it all right for me to join?
Absolutely. What I just did going through Telegram, you're invited to go into that thread at any time and look for some information that interests you in the area of drinking water. And I'm sure you'll find something. If you need a water filter, if you want to learn how to structure water, there's also information there on primary water, mineralizing your water. And there are so many different methods to disinfecting, sanitizing, structuring water that I've learned. Yeah, there will be something there for you. So if you can't actually participate, just feel free to go in there and get some information that's helpful for you.
Brilliant, thank you.
And you can participate if you like. It's something, you know, something as simple as building those the bamboo biochar water filters. Can just be picked up and used for a local education class for kids. So good luck when hopefully we'll see you, Masha.
Thanks, Masha, so much. We have next Jay, and then after that, Francis. Jay, if you want to come off mute and ask your question.
Good morning from my end to everybody. Yeah, I just want to say a very special thanks to Ricky and Tandy Michelle, my sister. And I have a comment which is kind of mixed. First of all, I want to congratulate Ricky for the job he's doing with a very small number of African countries. I did reach out to him several months ago, but I think he had this, what I would consider to be lizardophobia. So he didn't even give me the courtesy of a response. And that for me is so, it's so unnerving because I've been working with him as far back, okay, I discovered her back in 2016. And then we all came together under my friend, Stephen Rao. And then we created what we call the Create Change Group. And then we evolved. So I can proudly say that I created the first few African assemblies, in preparation for the creation of Life Force. And so here we are, we have evolved. So when I heard that Ricky was doing this work through Tandy Michelle and Brooke, I reached out to him because right now he only mentioned, I think, about 2 African countries. And meanwhile, we have pretty close to 52 African countries. So I wanted to give that leverage so that we can be together, be able to reach out to a great number of those that were into water creation projects, right? Because most of the project proposals that I receive from Africans are water projects, right? Water supply projects, many of them. So I wanted to give that whole list to Ricky so that he could reach out to the leaders of the different groups and to also invite him to our weekly meetings because we meet every week. Tani Michelle is here. She can attest to that. We've been doing this for over 1 year. But sadly, he refused to respond to me. And I have serious problem with that.
Thank you, JC.
Yeah.
Can I respond?
Of
Okay.
course.
Yeah, and thank you, JC. We finally get to talk. And just as a note, I think that you had tried to contact me on LinkedIn. I remember that. And I wasn't, at the time, I just got on LinkedIn. I wasn't very active. And then on the Telegram side of things, I was actually told to not talk to a few people. And I've broken through that barrier and I've talked with those people. I think I've sent you a few messages just recently. But thank you for everything that you're doing. I see what you're doing. And I am collecting the groups that you're talking about in Africa, and I'm seeing more working groups being started with this type of Telegram structure with the groups and topics. And so I'm trying to get those just filed and organized so folks locally can find their solutions. I realize that when folks in Africa have a meeting, that if there's 100 people there, there might only be 10 cell phones, smartphones for people to look at. And so communication is a little bit difficult there. So we can organize things for you, JC. And you guys keep doing the work you're doing and communicating with folks locally there. And together we'll have the communication set up so folks can, from day one, communicate and find out what a solution is to their needs. Thank you again.
Thank you both. Thank you very much for your comments. Francis, would you like to come off mute and share? Or ask your question? Francis, you have your hand raised. He might have stepped away. Would anybody else?
Hello.
Yeah, here we go. Hi, Francis.
Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you all, and very glad that I have this opportunity at least can talk to different people at this call. And indeed, I'm really feel very privileged to be with you all this moment. I'm really very thankful for what Ricky and Tendi have presented to us. And I'm glad to understand this is really the first meeting and we are breaking through in many ways we have to do. So my talk or my actually comment on what they have said, myself, as I told you, as you heard, my name is Francis Makuza from Rwanda. I joined the Life Force and then again care, and now also continue to UNN. And we are trying to see how we can make things work. And I strongly believe that it will work because we are one with the creator, and with Kim who can connect directly with the creator. And we have very good people who are seriously want to accomplish this job. And Rick, for example, I actually have been a peacemaker for most of the work I've been doing. I've been doing conferences for peace and also counseling families and also uniting people for amicably, do things in a friendly way rather than by force. That's been my work over now 15 years. And now recently I really have to particularly want to focus on the work of care and also especially Rwanda. So in Rwanda, we have been trying to establish teams, and more so with water. What is a big problem? And we could find here and there. I found Ricky weekly. I really decided to attend weekly meetings of water and also food with Brooke, and eventually also with Tendi now. Is doing this job, and I really recommend that. It's a good job. My question for Ricky is, I don't know, maybe also to Lizzie, because we have been many projects, not only water actually. And we met Ricky in water, and we find out we have also other problem of infrastructure, agriculture, energy, and so many other, but we have been focused on water because of Ricky being responsible for water, and also Tendi now is in food. Brooke has been in food, also been connecting. So if we have other groups like that, then it would be very helpful. But for Ricky now, I have, as he has told you, I have the one-stop facilitation center, which has been really, but we cut out the part for water only. So, and I really want to see that not only if we had, if I looked over Rwanda as big, and we want to support all other teams and all other assemblies, then we need not only to focus on water, because everything needs to be urgent. And if we focus, we need to focus, we bring up, facilitate everybody, not by any means, but connecting, giving information, training some members, and also bring everybody to understand the natural law, how we have to do things, changing the way of looking at things, and so everybody joins with a clear mind and also with a clear spirit of working, living for the sake of each other. So I found this with Ricky, and also Tendi and Brooke have been really very close to me and highly guiding. Personally, I did not know about Telegram and also many other technologies, but Rick has been taking me like maybe, but he's doing a good job. So if Rick is to do many other things, how will he, if he's focused on water, how will he deal with other things? That's what the question is. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you for all the work that you've done. And, you know, our starting place, we have to start someplace in it. And I think it has to do with just the basics, and water is so important every day. You heard from Jay say, all of the assemblies that they put together, all the working groups that they put together, they're focused on water, what we can do about water. And so, I think almost that we have a bigger problem here in the US than you do maybe in Africa. The problem in Africa is you need some funding to just do basic maintenance and repairs, get your water to where it's always under pressure and not having it contaminated by the local livestock and things like that. And so, our problems here have to do with pollution and chemicals being dropped in our waterways. And so it makes it so it's really a good time to work with the folks in Africa, Francis and Robert, Isaac in Burundi. He was someone I was told not to speak with, but I broke through that barrier. And Isaac has been so good for Burundi, and they're going to get some water holes fixed. They've already started working on some with the groups that they have there. They have a very difficult time communicating though because of their infrastructure. I think that he would be here. So yeah, your question is,
Hello.
hey Francis. And so your question, I guess the answer is, I'm just starting with water as a foundation. And like I said, we went into the relief because that's something that has to happen immediately. But in the relief packages, you know, right away we start talking about, okay, we need to get some shelter for people, so, and food. So, you know, it's just going to be a progression. Yeah, we're using the water relief in our group as a foundation to establish the projects. So it's basically step one. When you start your project, and starting at small, the smallest that you can start it is the better, just so you can, you know, get a nice bite-sized grip on what you're doing. But it has to include water, even if you set up a business. You know, if you set up a business in your area, someone like the health department is going to come in and look at your water, make sure that it's not from a contaminated source, test it, and make sure that you have pressurized water or water storage sufficient to not get anybody sick. So that's where we start with water relief, and that leads into building a foundation for our projects, the spaces that we're building, and the education that we're going to have. It's just our starting place. So it's a good opportunity to be here. So I hope that answers your question, Francis.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Andy, did you want to make a comment on anything said so far?
No, I think what Ricky's been doing is working with the various countries and actually finding real solutions, finding parts for pumps, hand pumps at wells, and finding parts that are not available currently in Africa. Someone suggested solar, and he's working on real solutions. So I really like what he's doing. It's very practical, and I'd love to see more people get connected for these basic needs that we need as the clean water. And they're working on solutions for water treatment plants and installing treatment plants, and they're doing just amazing work. Last year, Food Security Group, and a little bit into the previous year, we had a total of just over 40 different guests that we had on, that Brooke and myself gathered, and some people suggested, knowledgeable people from all over the world. And we need these knowledgeable people that can talk on subjects. And I hope to, in February, start those talks again. I just need some help to get that going. I've got some speakers lined up, but we need the knowledgeable people that will speak, share what is possible. For example, we've got someone that multiplies soil microbes and then suspends them in molasses. And this is a much better fertilizer, and it's got a variant that's also good for animals and animal health, and the variant's good for human health and for different kinds of plants. And this is one example. And then there's different manures and options that are highly nutritious for plants. We've had people speak on so many various subjects, and I've got a whole library. I'm actually busy going through the library to see who spoke, because that's the only thing I could actually take off the old thread. So I need to see who spoke, and I've got to make a summary of what they spoke about and their details, and then post the video. So I've got a lot of work ahead, and that's why I need help, because I can't be the chief cook and bottle washer, and that's why I named it the collaborative. Let's collaborate. Let's work together, you know, together. Hold hands, do it together. because none of us can do it on our own. I'm going to see if I can start speaking about a community gardening project and what can come from that next week. Maybe have some voice calls on Telegram. I don't have a Zoom yet. So we need that, and we need to find a suitable hour for more people to attend. But it's time we work together and not separately, because I can learn from projects in different countries, and different countries can learn from projects all over the world. We all have different ways of doing things. There's better ways, for instance, than putting up steel fences, mesh fences, where animals can't get through. And instead of putting up maybe some wattle fences or a good hedge, that would be far more suitable and better for the environment. So let's work on these solutions together. We can learn about weaving beehives like they used to, or pottery beehives that were used in the past and still being used in some areas. They're healthier and they're renewable. Let's think about these options. And as we talk about these options, we're going to inspire somebody that's got maybe pottery skills or basket weaving skills to take that up as a project. And then we have these things more readily available globally. It's not complicated. We just need to gather and collaborate. And we don't have to talk for ages. We can make these meetings short, because I know we're all meetinged out. We're tired. So
Understood.
that's my thoughts.
Oh, thank you so much. We have JC again, but would anyone else please ask your question? I want to end it at the hour, so I have 13 minutes by my clock. But yeah, JC, you want to come back on? But please ask your question. Get in line if you like. JC, you want to come back for a concise statement, please, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, as you recall, during my meeting with you guys, I think a week ago, I emphasized the need for us to concisely segment the different disciplines. Like Ricky is in the water restoration, Tandy Michelle has been working with Brooks in food and security. See, I want the different groups, because the front PGSD had committees that link to different disciplines. So if we can have these groups, because I'm working with the African groups in general, then I will be able to link people with different interests. For example, education, health and wellness, water restoration, and the list goes on. So I want for us to work together, Liz, so that we can clearly be able to define the different industries and disciplines, so that we can have the people of interest, going into those areas and working with the leaders of those different industries. Thank you.
Thank you, JC. Thank you for all your comments. I know that Telegram's challenging. I also know that we did break Center for Health and Wellness into 6 groups, but we also are aware that we are all one. At some level, we need to get granular and figure things out. And some level, we need to come back together. So I do encourage everyone on this call and future people who will listen in the future to figure out ways to get those tendrils all back together. All the tree roots in the ground, they all talk to each other with the fungus and the fungus mycelium in the ground. We can all do that too with our own quote unquote internet system. So I encourage you to develop those systems. We all have our place here for sure, in the granular and in the connection, right? Would anybody else like to ask a question, or would either of my guests like to close us out, because we don't need to stay to the hour? Either of you two want to end us lovely with some nice comments, or whatever comments?
I just want to say thank you that we're all here together. Small group as we are, we're together. Let's stick together. Let's work together. Let's learn to use our voices. Don't be shy. You may think you haven't got anything to share, but you most certainly do. If we all just do our part, this is going to be absolutely effortless.
Right, and we can do it doing our passion, what we're passionate about.
Yes.
Our passion can always help the world. Yes.
Exactly. I've got 50 topics you can choose from, and I'll make more categories. You find more categories. Do it. Just do your passion.
Right. Find your own, or do something with Tandy or Ricky or anybody. Thank you so much. Ricky, any final comments?
Yeah, if I can share one thing that really excites me, and what we'll be working on this week in our next meeting. this is what Francis has been working on in Rwanda. It's biochar that he's made a filter with sand biochar that he's made out of bamboo. And see, so he's got the process laid out, doing the work on the ground, teaching folks in the area on how to make this really great water filter for their area. You know, there's still malaria going on around there. And so this is the kind of thing that keeps me going. I know that this is what we did in our group meetings over several weeks, and this is the result of it. And so thank you, Francis and Robert, everyone, for what you're doing in your areas, and just continue to stay tuned in to what's going on with the United Nations or United Network News, the marketplace, because all of these different topics are going to lead to the marketplace. There's businesses, products, solutions on these files that are going to end up on the marketplace. And here you can see that we can teach each other and learn how to use some of the new technologies and products and share. So I'm just glad to be here. Thanks everybody for being here today and listening to us.
Thank you everyone for being here. Yes, it's wonderful. I'm going to close out this call now. Jay, say one final comment. You still have your hand raised. We're going to. Yeah.
Oh no, no. I want to say thank you to everybody. Sorry, I didn't put my hand down.
No, that's fine. That's wonderful. It's all lovely. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to our guests, Tandy and Ricky. You know that you are all loved and we'll all find a way to work together. So with that, I'll end this call and I'll post this soon. Thank you everyone so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.